unclear. But for tonight, Meadows should consider the case of Steve Bannon, who now faces up to 2 years behind bars and up to $2,000 in fines. The contempt law actually allows a fine as high as $100,000 for each count. That could mean having to sell a lot of those new books. If the DOJ indicts Meadows, he would be the first White House chief of staff charged with a crime since H.R. Haldeman for his role in Watergate. Haldeman spent a year and a half in prison. And tonight, other members of the January 6th committee are revealing even more text messages from Meadows' phone. And for a report on that, we go to Paula Reed on Capitol Hill. Paula, we're waiting for the critical vote. It occurs to me that we saw 9 Republicans join Democrats to vote to hold Steve Bannon in contempt. I'm wondering, what's the over-under for tonight?
That's the big question. That's something we're really watching. We have to remember that the Meadows situation is different than that of Steve Bannon. Because Steve Bannon, he really tied up that contempt case with a bow for lawmakers, made it a lot easier for them to cross the aisle. Here, Meadows has engaged with the committee. He has provided thousands of pages of records. The case really is different. It could make it more difficult for some Republicans to support referring him to the Justice Department for criminal charges. But the House Select Committee, over the past 3 days, Michael, we have seen they have been making their case, certainly in the court of public opinion, about why Meadows should be held in contempt. Now, they argue that, look, you clearly handed over these thousands of pages of documents. You didn't think those were privileged. You should be able to at least come in and answer questions about these documents. And over the past 3 days, they have slowly been rolling out new details, some of them truly shocking. Tonight, we're learning more about the kind of messages that Meadows was receiving, including a new text message from an official in Georgia. Now, Meadows received this text message, according to the committee, during that January 2nd call where former President Trump was pressuring Georgia officials to, quote, find votes. And in this text message, the official told Meadows, quote, we need to end this call. I don't think it will be productive for much longer. Now, this is significant because this committee is not just interested in January 6th, not just interested in the insurrection. They are also investigating the days and weeks leading up to January 6th and efforts by Meadows, by Trump, by anyone else to undermine confidence in the election. Now, another new revelation tonight from the committee, a text message that draws the first definitive connection between Meadows and a former top Department of Justice official, Jeffrey Clark. Now, Clark, while he was at the Justice Department, he was a big proponent of using the power of that department to help pursue Trump's efforts to overturn or undermine the election. And in this particular text message, someone is referencing rumblings that Clark could potentially be appointed acting attorney general. And this unnamed person texts Meadows saying, quote, that's amazing. I'm personally so proud you are at the tip of the spear. Now, the committee emphasizing that it's clearly important to talk to Meadows about this, especially if he was the, quote, tip of the spear for some effort to install a Trump loyalist at the top of the Justice Department. Now, there's more, including another text message from approximately November 4th, so after the election, where an unnamed lawmaker texts Meadows with a strategy for how to help Trump potentially just toss it to the Supreme Court to figure out who won the election. I'm let one of the committee members explain what they found.
On November 4th, a member of this body wrote to Meadows, here's an aggressive strategy. One day after the election, why can't the states of Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and other Republican-controlled state houses declare this is BS, where conflicts in election not called that night, and just send their own electors to vote and have it go to the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States.
And Michael, of course, all of this evidence that we've just laid out, this is what Meadows handed over voluntarily. Makes you wonder about what he could potentially be withholding. But over the past few days, the House Select Committee laying out all of this evidence, all of these questions that they would ask Meadows if he was to come and answer questions in a deposition, really trying to hammer home the point of why he cannot defy the subpoena, why he needs to come in and answer these questions. If he thinks there's an issue with privilege, he can raise that to that specific question, but they're arguing that he needs to honor the subpoena, come in and answer questions, and if he doesn't, they argue that he should be criminally charged.
When do we get to find out who was sending these texts? What members of Congress? I want to know their names. I'm kind of shocked that 24 hours have gone off the clock and we don't know any of them thus far.
It's a great question. And first you have to wonder, well, are some of these people cooperating? Was this part of the deal that they wouldn't reveal it? Is it part of the storytelling here? Clearly they are weaving a narrative. But CNN has learned that they will consider potentially revealing some of those over the next few weeks. But it's a great question, certainly one that a lot of people are asking, especially some of the text messages we heard last night, including someone apologizing to Mark Meadows following the insurrection that they weren't able to turn the election for Trump. Truly shocking that that was the reaction on January 7th.
Yeah, who is that individual? Paula Reed, thank you so much.